Good evening and welcome to the June 2021 One WILPF Zoom. I'm Sandy Thacker from the East Bay, California branch. Also on our call team is Anne Henny. Anne from the East Bay branch. Nancy Price is from Davis, California. Our technical support teammate is Ellen Thomas from the mountains of North Carolina. And Marybeth Gardam, our fearless leader from Iowa City, Iowa, is on vacation. So welcome to you all. I hear people keep joining, so that's great. This Zoom meeting happens every second Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and is sponsored by Women's International League for Peace and Freedom, U.S. section. This is a public call. We're video recording, and the video will be posted in just a few days to WILPF's YouTube channel and our One WILPF Call webpage. If you don't wish to be seen by the public, you can turn off your camera. But we hope most people will keep their camera on so we can get to know one another better. All of us, we were saying before the call that it's just so nice to see everybody's faces. It's just wonderful. So WILPF US is a sisterhood, and these connections keep us strong.
I'm Anne Henny, also from the East Bay WILPF branch. Nice to see everybody still dropping in. WILPF is the oldest women's international peace organization in the world, founded in 1915 by Jane Addams of Hull House. WILPF has over 30 branches in the United States and is one of 50 sections around the world. You can find out more and join us on our website at www.wilpfus.org/join. And that's going to be on the text pad. Just as a reminder, if you know someone who missed this call, or if you or they want to listen to portions of it in the future, our One WILPF calls are archived and available to the public on our website, including this one. Before we introduce our featured topic and panelists, the WILPF US section president wishes to make a few announcements. Darian DeLu, welcome. You've got 4 minutes.
Thank you. And I probably won't need all those 4 minutes. I want to first joyfully announce that we have received confirmation that we will be able to offer a premiere viewing of the new Corporation, an unfortunately necessary sequel. Some people may recall that The Corporation was a film that came out, I'm not even sure, maybe 25 years ago, maybe 20, about corporations. And it featured one of WILPF's stars, Mary Zepernick, who helped form the Corporations versus Democracy Issue Committee, which has now become the Women, Money, and Democracy Issue Committee. So she was in that film. She is not able to be in this new one, but the topics are still extremely relevant to WILPF issues. And WILPF was one of the pioneers in talking about corporate personhood. So that's going to be on July 21st. That's a Wednesday. I hope everyone will make time to view that film because it will give you some crucial information about corporations. And I'll put in an additional request. Invite your vaccinated friends. Have them come to your home and see it with you. If you're a WILPF branch, consider getting a big room, a large viewing space, so that you have some practice for getting people together for viewing our August Congress sessions with others. Beyond that, I just want to emphasize the urgency of this moment, this time. Now through 2024, we have the need for major action, and the time is running out. Major decisions, including the 2022 congressional election and the 24 presidential one. So one thing we've really learned from 45's administration will never again say it can't get any worse. So let's pay attention now. We're facing possible climate collapse, the rise of hate and the right, the For the People Voting Rights Act, which is a good thing, and a global economic and health crisis. So that includes the she-cession in the US with nearly a 50% drop in women's employment. All of this means we are coming up on the moment for WILPF's Triennial Congress, which will be in mid-August. So stay tuned for further information about that after the break. Certainly, what we're looking at now, the kinds of changes we need, they're not easy, they're not preordained, and hope is not lost. So this is what makes what we do right now so important. We're living through historic times. We'll need you to help at the August Congress and to activate. And I'm particularly looking for people who will volunteer to help with the technical doodads of Zoom, not fancy advanced work, but helping people get the right view and so forth. So contact me at president@wilpfus.org to get trained and to volunteer. More coming up after the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Darian. And it is a very important time in history. And clearly we need to deal with a lot of these issues. So this evening's call focuses on a subject that may not look at first like it's connected to WILPF's traditional mission of peace and freedom. But WILPF members have long understood how seemingly disparate issues all connect inevitably to peace and its polar opposite. Economic justice and equity are huge parts of securing a peaceful world. As long as the wealth gap continues to expand and the poorest and most vulnerable are denied equal opportunities, protections, and representation, the risk of conflict and war is ramped up. During the COVID outbreak and the ensuing economic downturn, we all saw the importance of essential workers who risked their lives with little protection, low pay, and often non-existent benefits, including medical insurance to keep the rest of us safe, fed, and tended to. Mail deliverers, truck drivers, meat cutters and meat processors, farm workers, warehouse employees, housekeepers in hospitals, and caregivers who tended the most vulnerable, the elderly, children, the disabled, and the sick, were our heroes. We celebrated them and praised them. Now the question is, will we organize to raise their wages and benefits, or are we just going to give lip service to their sacrifice and bravery?
The bigger sense of that question holds a much larger implication. What kind of society do we want to live in? One that values the contributions of all members of the society, or one that privileges the ruling elite and risks the lives and the potential of the real makers? Much has been written about the need for a caring economy, to value workers and provide basic protections for them. Fairly paying workers, offering them national health care that they can access equitably, and giving them more ways to protect their children, own their own homes, and climb out of poverty. These things really can help create a caring society where all people are appreciated and valued. That's the kind of transformation that can change the world.
Tonight, we're going to hear from three women who have worked, four women who have worked long and hard towards that kind of equitable transformation within their local communities and through organizing and political action across the United States. We are deeply grateful to Martha Collins, Martha, there she is, who will be our segment facilitator tonight, for inviting our guests. Martha is the political director for the National Feeding America organization network of food banks across America. She has been working on food justice and economic justice issues for many years in her hometown of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. You'll hear about the myriad of political solutions being discussed now at various levels of the Congress and which ones have the most potential for transforming our economy. Then we'll thank our panelists and enter into breakout rooms to talk about how we can best support their organizing in our own communities and effectively insist that our elected members of Congress act to make this transition possible. Martha, welcome to the One Wilf Call. We're so happy you can join us tonight. Please introduce yourself and your guests.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the One Wilf Call tonight. I am a member of Wilf. I am a member of the Issue Committee, Women, Money, and Democracy. So I'm so glad that the committee decided to make this issue a topic for the month and that we have some dynamic speakers. I'm also newly elected president of the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom Milwaukee branch. And so I'm excited to see a couple of Milwaukeeans on the call tonight from our local chapter branch. But you won't be hearing for 4 women tonight. You will definitely be hearing for 3. I am going to stay in my facilitator's role and let the experts do what they do. So without further ado, I want to introduce Danielle Atkinson. Many of you may have saw a short bio of Danielle's that was circulated, but she is the executive director and founder of Mothering Justice. She has an extensive experience as a church-based electoral and community organizer. She's a dynamic mom. I love her kids. Vicariously, they're my children online. I say, look at our baby's pictures online. But she is a dynamic mom. She has worked with a number of organizations such as American Votes, State Voices, Population Connection, and Acorn. In 2012, she founded Mothering Justice, which is a leadership development and advocacy organization located in Michigan. And so Danielle has led a number of organizing efforts, such as raising minimum wage, both in Florida and Michigan. Mothering Justice has also led the fight to get earned paid sick time in Michigan. And she's working with organizing moms who's won her the 2013 Michigan Organizer of the Year Award. So I'm so excited to have Danielle Atkinson with us today. And then we also have with us Truth Freemyn and Chineva Smith. Both are from the organization 9 to 5. And you probably read a little bit about Truth's bio in our flyer as well. But we got a bonus speaker this evening that's going to talk to us about the Keep Families First Coalition, which 9 to 5 is spearheading. Truth, I believe, is a boomeranger. She was at 9 to 5 a number of years and left and came back because she's amazing. She's a principal consultant for PBF Leadership Consultants for more than 20 years. And she does a lot of leadership development and training with 9 to 5. She's, has been involved in leadership development for more than 2 decades and has proven professional expertise in fundraising, management, HR, personal growth, development fields, working with staff, volunteers, managing boards. And again, Truth formerly served as the National Workplace Anti-Discrimination Project Director for 9 to 5 for over 5 years, and has done a lot of work with the Wisconsin-based office around the Poverty Network Initiative. So without further ado, I'm going to have Truth and Chineva kick us off. I believe they may even have a presentation for us. So if we want to load that up while they get ready to introduce themselves maybe a little bit more, just go right into the presentation.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Martha. I'm sure we're going to see Chineva any second, probably in the speaker view. Chineva, I'm going to see if I can. Okay, there you are. All right. So if at 9 to 5, we believe in co-leadership and collaboration. So Chineva and I are going to co-lead this presentation this evening. I'm going to give Chineva an opportunity to introduce herself. Chineva is a project manager of some of our family values at work and our family medical leave work, as well as the leader of the Keep Family First Coalition. So Chineva, I'm going to let you say a little bit about yourself, and then we can go into the presentation.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chineva Smith. It's such a pleasure to be with you all this afternoon, well, this evening. So a little bit about me. My past comes from serving on the national board for 9 to 5, as well as being the co-chair for the Wisconsin board. Being a long-term member, did some project work with 9 to 5, and then essentially I transitioned over to be a staffer as the Wisconsin senior organizer for 9 to 5 as of last August. So a lot of things that I work on, key components are paid leave, as well as childcare, and then anything in regard for working women justice. So it's been a pleasure to actually work with Truth. And then also Martha was actually working at 9 to 5 when I did come over to 9 to 5 as a member. So I'm excited to share with you all what I do know about paid leave and what's happening in the state of Wisconsin.
Access to a single paid sick day.
4 out of 5 American workers
did not have access,
had no paid family leave through their job.
The U.S. is the only industrialized country.
We're taking time when you're sick,
when a family member is ill,
when you're welcoming a new child,
or comforting a dying parent.
It can cost you your pay or your job.
Back in March, Congress passed paid family leave.
And for that, we say thank you.
But it left out as many as 106 million workers.
It exempted big business,
and it left out people who work in pharmacies, in grocery stores, healthcare workers.
The people on the front lines risking their lives to keep us safe.
We need paid leave to protect all of our health.
And to get America working again.
Call your member of Congress today.
Go to paidleaveforall.org.
where you can take action.
Ask for paid leave.
Ask for paid leave.
Ask for paid leave for all.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so what we all seen in that video clip was the essential need of paid leave. This is not something that's a want, this is a need. So what 9 to 5 has been working strategically on in regard to paid leave is making sure that every individual in this country is able to be covered by paid leave. We have had a successful win in Colorado. So effective of November 3rd of 2020, Colorado actually made a historical moment by becoming the 9th state in the United States to actually pass paid leave. So that was a big win. For us at 9 to 5 was on the front line fighting for paid leave, fighting to pass paid family and medical leave. And then Colorado was also the first state ever to secure paid family and medical leave through a ballot initiative. So we are moving on an upward incline. 9 to 5 did not do this alone. Of course, this win was possible through the collaboration of other organizations, coalition work, and as well as individuals just as yourself that saw the importance behind paid leave. Our Georgia chapter also has a coalition that is dedicated to paid leave, as well as we, Wisconsin and Georgia, are trying to win paid leave for both states as well. So in Wisconsin specifically, we are working to reintroduce the Senate Bill 596. So it did not pass back in 2019. However, it will be reintroduced this fall during session. The senators behind this bill is Senator Ringhan, and then we have Representative Sandy Pope that have also sponsored this paid leave bill. In Wisconsin, we are moving forward. So specifically in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, which is the largest metropolitan city, the school district, which is Milwaukee Public Schools, they decided to take it upon themselves to say, hey, COVID is going on. We need some type of paid leave, and they passed the paid leave for Milwaukee Public Schools employees using the ERSEA 2 funds, and they plan to do that with also ECRSA 3 funds as well. So really excited about that. That's a big win for Wisconsin. That's a big win for Milwaukee because we have the biggest school district there, and just to see how essential it is to not only protect the educators, but also the students as well. And if we see that we need paid leave for COVID, then we do need paid leave for things that were outside of COVID before we did enter this pandemic. Another thing that I do want to discuss with you all is that in regard to fighting for paid leave in Wisconsin, we have the Keep Families First Coalition in Wisconsin. So the Keep Family First Coalition is a diverse statewide coalition that was formed to protect Wisconsin's current Family and Medical Leave Act and to create family and medical leave insurance. So the Keep Family First is a broad partnership of families, workers, and their advocates that were created out of critical necessary need to provide economic security for Wisconsin families. As stated in the video that we watched, nobody should be forced to abandon their families, to abandon if they're sick or if it's a new family member just because they do not have job security or protection, or just for them to risk losing the fear of a paycheck or their job altogether. So the Keep Family First Coalition works hard to make sure that policies are being spread amongst the community, and that we do have partnering organizations and businesses and individuals that do support paid leave so that we can finally get it pushed in Wisconsin. So how Colorado was able to actually win the paid leave initiative is during all of the no's that they received, they got told no so many times. However, the grassroots organizations, the coalitions, individuals that are strong-minded and making sure that there is justice for all stood together and made sure that although there was a no right now, they continue to work on pressing and educating the public about the importance of paid leave. That is our plan for Wisconsin. So things that you all could help out with to ensure that we get paid leave passed, not just for Wisconsin, but this is something that we should all look into to get paid for the United States. We do know that with President Biden's American Family Plan, that there is a plan to actually incorporate paid leave. We do also know that there might be a chance that the federal level of paid leave, it might not be enough. So state might be a supplement. We are hoping that the federal would be enough to cover. But in addition to that, there should also be state paid leave as well too. So the next thing I wanted to tell you guys about is that our ask to make sure that you are contributing to paid leave is that join the Keep Families First Coalition. We have our next meeting, which is next week on June 17th at 1 p.m. If you are interested, my email will be provided at the end of this presentation. Please email me and I will provide you with the Zoom link, and invite your friends, invite your family members, invite everyone from your network, because we need people to help build this coalition to get it passed in the state of Wisconsin. Some other things that you can also do is you can support pressing issues or initiatives by sharing information with your organization and professional networks. You can invite others to join the Keep Families First Coalition. You can also contact your elected officials to gain support and recommendations for proposed legislation. And then also socializing your support. Talk with your personal network. Sometimes our family members, our friends don't know how critical paid leave is until they're in the situation where they need it. We don't want to wait until that moment that you're needing for something and you have no option. There's no option to actually use paid leave. You want to be able to have that there so that when it comes down to it, it's easily accessible. Write letters to the editors. When you see any articles about paid leave, voice your opinions and say what you support and when you do not support. And then share your information and updates on your social media networks. Share updates from your organization or your family-centered efforts and issues as well with other organizations that you are working with as well, because we cannot do this fight. We cannot win this fight alone. So that is in brief of what's going on with the Keep Families First Coalition. Again, I invite you all to join our meeting next week on the 17th at 1 p.m. And we do have quarterly meetings. So I'm excited to hear more things. And then Truth, I wanted to know, would you like to add anything at all?
Thank you, Chineva. I appreciate that. So I think a couple of things I want to touch on are, I was going to start with, I'm one of my guilty pleasures used to be the Oprah Winfrey Show. I spent many, many years calling that show, trying to get tickets. And the one time I ever got through and I got to go to the show and I got tickets, it was on caregiving and paid leave. It just happened to be the topic that they were talking about on that show. And I got to look under my chair and there was a book. So I had the whole full experience. But what I also realized is that that conversation that they had that day, that was probably maybe 20 years ago. And we actually have some of the exact same problems around caregiving and paid leave as we did 20 years ago. So despite the fact that 9-to-5 has been around for almost 50 years and we've been doing this work, there is so much more work to be done on this topic. I don't have to tell this group the significance of the lack of paid leave in this country. I don't know if you all have ever heard of the movie or a documentary called 0 Weeks. This is one of the other, what I'll say a call to action. Is to watch that documentary. You can probably view it for free if you have Netflix or Amazon Prime or on Hulu. I'll make sure we put the name of it in the chat. What I love about the documentary 0 Weeks is it gives such a complete picture of what it looks like in the United States when it comes to all the other countries. I think we're when it comes to the bottom, we're like third from the bottom on this topic of paid leave. So despite our efforts, but it's like anything we know that you fight for when it comes to social change and social justice is that it takes years. And as Chineva shared, we've made some progress, but there is much to still be done. I'm also going to put in the chat, thank you, Chineva, a link that goes through some of the information that's on the PowerPoint around what the sort of some of the logical next steps to do, whether it's in your state or, and I know Danielle's going to talk about federal, but also some of the federal things that are at stake and how to get involved in that. I'll also put in the chat, there's a discussion guide for the 0 Weeks documentary. And one of the reasons I want to make sure people have it, because you can have a Zoom movie party where you pull up the movie in any of those platforms and watch it with a group. I'm still like someone that's not going out a lot, even though I've been vaccinated, and have a really robust conversation about the information that is shared in that documentary. 9-to-5 actually is featured in that documentary in the work that we've been doing for over 25 years on this topic. So I encourage people. I feel like, as Chineva was saying, I'm still shocked to this day how many people don't even know what paid leave is, how many people aren't familiar with FMLA or FMLI. And so it's a way for us to educate ourselves. I think that's one of the first steps in turning out our constituents, turning out our communities, turning out grassroots efforts, is educating people about the topic itself. So I highly recommend that information that's made available in 0 Weeks, which Chineva put in the chat. Also, I want to say the other what to do that's in our slides is around how to use social media, and if that is one of your primary ways for communicating with people, COVID certainly made it possible for us to all pivot and switch to how we communicate with our families, friends, and loved ones. But also, we're going to make the PowerPoint available for people, posting some of the information that's in the PowerPoint, posting some of the handouts or the information that we're providing tonight, just to raise the consciousness and awareness of people around the topic of paid leave. The last thing I'll say, that one of our strategies for the Keep Family First Coalition has been the significance of everyone that's involved. Yes, it's an individual issue, it's a mom issue, it's a parent issue, it's a father or partner issue, but it's also a issue for businesses and small businesses. And Chineva has been successful, along with our other project manager, in recruiting businesses and small businesses to participate in this topic. The more we raise the consciousness of businesses and how it helps businesses, and them being a part of the fight and the demand for paid leave, it creates a stronger allyship, and it has made for us a stronger coalition to have the voice of small business involved and how it benefits business to have paid leave in either in our state or in our locally or regionally, and then of course federal.
Once we come back and we start talking a little bit about some of the questions that come in, I like to get pushed back to truth. And Chineva, opportunity for you all to share some essential worker stories. You know, I think we all kind of, you know, do have a sense of the importance of paid leave, and kind of having these quote unquote safety nets for all families. But it'd be great to hear, you know, some types of kinds of sacrifices and things that some of the members have had to make to humanize it, right? As we're talking to our networks about this important issue. So I do want to make the opportunity in a conscious of time to go ahead and have Danielle Atkinson with Mothering Justice speak with us a little bit in regards to the same issue that we're talking about tonight, caregiving and caregiving wages, but she will be talking to us a little bit more about legislative and some congressional bills that she's working on as well. Danielle?
Yeah, thank you. Could we exit out of share screen, and could I share my screen for a second? Would you mind? I have the option. I just need permission. Okay.
Oh, if you can share it, then go ahead.
Yep. All right. So hi, everyone. My name again is Danielle Atkinson. I'm the founding director of Mothering Justice here in Michigan, and I'm the national director. I've just moved into a national role. I wanted to share a little bit about my journey and kind of put the work a little bit in context as it relates to my family. So the image that you see up on the screen, this is a picture of my beautiful mother and my beautiful sister. I am the first person in my entire family, both on my mother's or my father's side, to be born in the United States. My mother was a nurse in Jamaica, and my father was a police officer. Very prestigious professions, made good wages, and they actually had someone that they employed to take care of my sister, Georgette. They decided to leave Jamaica for a variety of reasons, but my mother came to this country, specifically Connecticut, sponsored by my uncle who came before her, and was a house cleaner, right? So she had someone who took care of her home in Jamaica, but she left Jamaica to come to this country and clean other people's houses. And so this picture was taken on one of those visits. And so this picture was just a picture in our house, you know, growing up, but when I became a mother, it became so meaningful, right? To know that my mom left her 7-year-old daughter in Jamaica, country away, to come to this country and to make a better life for us. And so my commitment to this work is to force America to fulfill the promise that I believe they made to my family, and to honor the work that my parents did on behalf of my sister and I. So I will stop sharing. So I founded Mothering Justice for a variety of reasons, one of which, if you Google Black mothers, you will see a lot of things, but what you will not see is the representation that I just showed you. The beautiful, hardworking community organizer, the community bonder, everything that my mother is to me, and many Black women will also speak when they talk about who their mother is. I knew that we were more than just a voting bloc. I knew that we were more than just a liability in progressive politics. I knew we were more than just talking points around struggle in this country. We are what community organizers are all about. Okay. And so I wanted to live into that legacy. And I also wanted to make sure that the doors that were open for me and the tables that I was sitting at were representative of that power and the experience, the lived experience of Black mothers. So Mothering Justice is an organization that works on issues of financial stability. We also work for leadership development, not that we believe our mothers need a formal education in this process, but they need to know how the sausage is made. And we're prepared to equip them with what they need to arrive at that table, whether it be invited or with their own folding chair, to influence the levers of power to make a better world for all of us, right? And so we have a mama's agenda that speaks to the issues that we are struggling with every day. It's intentional that we talk about mothers and not children. Our Michigan director, Ebony Wells, Taylor, I always say Wells. She says this. It's funny. She knows the double entendre, but it's really funny. So she says we put mamas in front of everything because we have a mama summit, a mama brunch, a mama everything. She's like, we put mamas in front of everything. And I was like, no, we really do put mamas in front of everything, because if you fix for mamas, if you account for how mothers are doing, babies will be fine. Babies will be fine. It is our country. We are in a sexist, racist society that believes that we can save the baby without saving the mother. And so we're here to account for and make room for mothers in our society. And so the issues that we deal with, maternal justice, as far as health and also how we're treated when we are laboring and birthing human beings, paid leave, both paid sick days and paid and family medical leave, the safety net issues. And now we're talking about a just recovery. How do we come back better and stronger? Childcare, both affordable and reliable, and fair for the caregivers and the parents. And fair wages, living wages, right? So we have this aspirational dream of having a world that is centered around caregiving. And we know that if you fix for caregiving, if you fix for the person that is caring for their community, and you center that instead of capitalism, you will win, right? And we've had victories. Thank you so much, Martha, for talking about them. But right now we are in the fight of our lives. We have an opportunity. We have a once in a generation opportunity. And we say that so often, but the stars have aligned, right? Some will say the stars have aligned. I will say we are reaping the benefits of our activist ancestors for this very moment, for a time like this, when we have 50+1 votes in the Senate, we have a majority in the Congress, we have a president in the White House, all of whom are listening to activists. We are poised with mothers around the country, including in Congress, saying that you have to talk about childcare, you have to talk about paid leave. And we are now reaping the benefits of what President Obama said when he went to the podium. He said, we are living in a modern family society with Mad Men policies, right? That was the first time that we heard someone speak from the podium of the State of the Union about the need for paid leave. And so right now, we have an unprecedented amount of money that has been talked about for childcare and paid leave. And now is the time to make bold, strong demands of not our opposition, but our friends. Right. And so because we have the majority, there are Democrats arguing with Democrats. We've got two particular Democrats that are highly problematic. Right. I'm sure everybody knows their names, Manchin and Sinema. But we also have mixed messages. This is, again, I've been organizing my whole life, but I've never been in such a situation where there are good proposals and there are better proposals, right? That actually have a chance of being signed into law. So just to, there's a lot of things. There is a bill coming out of Ways and Means. Congressman Neal has been very supportive of paid leave. That is better than Representative Delores' bill that we've been championing for years. And we have obviously the president talking about the Families Act and the jobs plan and the families plan. I was just on a call and I was like, Congress is the least creative when it comes to naming things. You have working, family, and plan, and then they just mix them up. And maybe add new, and it's or working. It's just ridiculous. Like 2 workings. That's what we're gonna put in this one. Anyway, the point is that our demands are simple, clear, and concise. As far as childcare, the field is together. When I say the field, the progressive movement is together, that we need $700 billion over the course of 10 years for childcare. This is a down payment on a system that has never been properly funded, right? So a little bit of history that we all know, but we should never leave out of a conversation about childcare, that the childcare industry and system in this country is founded and built on the back of unpaid Black women. Let's speak the names of enslaved Black women into this conversation, right? And that is why we've never had a good policy, because we had somebody else caring for our children. And so we have throughout history underfunded or not funded childcare. But there was one time when we did. There was one time that we actually said, we're going to build a system. And that was so that women could leave their homes and build operations of war to kill people on other shores, right? We actually had a childcare system that was affordable and reliable in World War II. So we know that we can do it. And we're saying $700 billion is the down payment, is the least we can do to start to build a system that will account for the caregiving responsibilities of people like my mom. We have really brave people like Senator Bernie Sanders, who is standing up to his own party and saying, no work, no forced work, no forced labor. You'll hear it in the terms of work requirements, but it is punishing people for not working. We don't say that you can't go to public school because your mom isn't at work right now, right? We have decided as a country that every child deserves an education. Every child, every parent, every community deserves a system that is locally accountable and fully funded for childcare. We're going up against our friends here. President Biden has prioritized 0 to 5. That leaves out a lot, right? We can't legally leave our children alone before the age of 13 in most places. And if you have a child with disabilities, you can't leave your child alone. So we have to have a system that accounts for summer, evening, and 13 plus, $700 billion. So you need to call every friend you have, every friendly congressional member you have, and say, it is not a child care plan worth funding if it's not $700 billion. And then paid leave. I am so grateful to my friends and sisters in the fight at 9 to 5 for their work over the years and decades around paid sick days and paid family medical leave. We need a system that has a progressive reimbursement rate. People cannot take family medical leave because it's not paid, right? It's not accessible. I remember my mother is also a cancer survivor. And I remember her scraping together her vacation and her sick days and all of that so that she could go to chemo. We shouldn't have to do that. We have to reimburse it. Otherwise, it's not equitable, right? It needs to be accessible to everyone. And we also need to have an expansive, inclusive definition of family, both blood and affinity. The people you care for are your family, right? I need my sister and her wife to be able to take care of their adopted child. So those are the things, those are the talking points. Again, this is our moment. If you have some time, call Manchin and Cinema as well, but definitely call every congressperson in your state. And, just really grateful for the time that you guys have put in tonight and for so long and I appreciate the understanding that peace and justice and equality includes care. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Danielle. And thank you so much, Truth and Chineva. And we're just trucking right along. I've been checking the chat and I know this isn't a shy bunch. And I know from those issue committee meetings that you all were very much interested in this topic and have questions. So please, please, please don't be shy. Put your questions in the chat, or you may even be able to take yourself off of mute if it's really quick and want to ask it and don't want to type it out. All righty, I've got my first question. So it says from Pat Albright, what about being able to choose to raise your children full time if that's best for your children and yourself? Shouldn't we be paid wages for that critical work as well? The global women's strike has been campaigning for a care income now, for caring for people and the planet as the purpose of society. The child tax credit is a step in the direction, although needs to be made permanent and go directly to the mother or primary caregiver. And there's Congresswoman Gwen Moore from Milwaukee's bill, the Workers' Relief and Credit Reform Act, which modernizes the definition of workers to include unpaid mothers and other primary caregivers, making them eligible for the EITC. Yes. I see Danielle head nodding. You want to take this question?
No, yes. Okay, we go into progressive 201. We're not even, forget that. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, yeah, this is friends, family, go.
Also, a friend of us, one of the original members of Mothering Justice, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, in her boost bill as well, you know, guaranteed personal income was just this funny thing, this funny progressive thing that we barely talked about before the crisis. And then when everybody got their checks, it wasn't so crazy anymore, right? So yeah, we need to be talking about guaranteed personal income, the definition of work. What does work mean? You know, and that conversation spans across issues, right? When we're talking about working hard, right? And immigrants don't work hard. I went to college, and then I went to work. I'm like, I don't know about you, but my undergrad wasn't that hard. You know, what is work, right?
Yes. And I see another chat comment, but I see a hand. I'm going to butcher it. Eileen.
Oh, hi, it's Eileen. Thank you.
Eileen, yes.
I'm from Massachusetts, where we've had paid leave that you earned. Every 30 hours of work, you earned 1 hour, and you can make up to 40 hours of paid leave. And that's been going on forever since I was working in my 20s. Well, maybe late 20s. And now, as of Monday, we have an emergency leave. And I think it's paid for 1 week. So my question is, what are the details of the paid leave that you're asking for? And is it supposed to be earned like I had to earn it? You know, work 30 hours, you get 1 hour of paid leave. What are you asking for? I suspect it varies per state. So go. Thank you.
Thank you. Truth or Chineva, would you like to answer that one?
Oh, this is what I'll say about what are we asking for. One of the things we say is that we're asking for every worker, no matter what size the company you work for or how much you make, has access to paid family medical leave. Yes, there are some models where you are accruing paid medical leave. So yes, that does exist. In fact, we work with a ton of folks actually out of Massachusetts that are part of our Family Values at Work Coalition. So we use that model as part of it. And I think, you know, just as Danielle was sharing, it's great if you can get, it's like, I think it's the difference between what Danielle, whether we are asking for the bare minimum or we're asking for something bigger than that. So I think for us, what we found, it can be really useful to ask for the moon bigger than that, because it's usually going to get dwindled down to, 40 hours a week. But, so yeah, the model, the bill in Massachusetts, what's going on in Massachusetts is considered one of the models for what's available. But I personally, and in the work I would say we've been doing across the country, is asking for specifically paid leave for all, no matter what size the company that you're working in. I don't know how that looks in Massachusetts, but what we find is that lots of times, if you work at a company that's smaller than 50 people, or you work at a company that's smaller than a certain amount, you get no paid leave. So I think it depends on that. I don't know if Chineva can hear me. Did you want to add anything to the
Yeah, so essentially piggybacking off of Truth. So for what we're asking in the Senate Bill 596, it's just the employee funded state insurance fund to provide the wage replacement. And the last time I did check, it was at 44% that it would check. So don't quote me on that. I can actually give you all the correct number. I want to make sure that we all have the correct number. But pretty much that's what it is, a buy-in.
Yeah, I use two things interchangeably. So thank you so much. There's paid sick days, which is for short-term illnesses or going to the doctor's appointments when you just need like a few days. And then there's family medical leave, which is what you would take if you had cancer or a birth of a new baby, or, so that's a long-term social insurance policy versus a few days that you would, just take with your employer. So it's a program with the state or the federal government versus a program just like with your employer, and they're obligated, mandated to provide those for you.
Thank you all for your comments around that question. Susan Jenick has asked, what are your groups doing to support the $15 minimum wage?
Yeah, so we don't talk about this enough, but they're so intertwined, right? So childcare providers on average make $11 an hour around the country. So providing more money into the childcare system then provides more money and ability for us to bargain with the state around what their reimbursement rates are, so that childcare providers are getting paid. We are in complete support of the fight for 15, and they are with us too, but just different messages, but the same fight as far as over here. And obviously if you don't have paid sick days or paid leave, you are going without pay when you are hurt or sick, and that diminishes your pay.
To piggyback off of Danielle, so 9 to 5 on a national scale, we are supportive of the fight for 15. However, we are noticing as well too with inflation and just the cost of living going around, that $15 is like $7. It's still not going to be enough. So looking at different ways to fight for more than the 15 is one of the plans and goals that we do have, because essentially we'll get the 15, but then we'll be back at square one.
And then just really quickly, probably our last question for this part. Pamela Richard asked, where can low-wage workers go when their employers cheat them out of their wages?
Well, I'm going to say it depends on where you live, in what state you live in. So I would say, you can go to the EEOC. So I would say your local EEOC, you can go there. You could also look for, it's like I recommend this, and it's like, does a person have access to any of these resources? You can also go to employment lawyers who work for free. I would say maybe there's a organization or a community-based organization in your community that has relationships. Like I know we have relationships with lawyers that'll work with people, and they don't have to necessarily pay for the services. Chineva put in the box ACLU, but if they can connect with a community organization that works on unpaid leave or workers' rights or social change or social justice, they can probably assist that person. And if they don't know where to go, you can call 9 to 5, because we are a national organization, and we will help find you somebody that can help you with that issue.
Yeah, is the discrimination hotline still up and going?
It's not. That's what I know. We used to have a 1-800 hotline where people could call all over the country, and oh my goodness. But even though we don't have the hotline, if you call us, we still have access to those resources, and we will help you find somebody in your state if that is an issue. And somebody else may want to add something.
Yeah, there's also the U.S. Labor Department Wage and Hour Division. They can also be a resource if you are a victim of wage theft.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm a horrible, horrible facilitator because at some point I was going to break you all off into groups, and I'm not sure in the nature of time we'll be able to do that. However, we really heard a lot of information this evening, and what bubbles up to the top for me, of what I heard some movement around the childcare, making it more equitable and affordable, and the fight to do that, and really having the opportunity to do that with the $700 billion ask, and some bubbling around paid family medical leave, right? Where all those things that Danielle and others have mentioned is in our favor, from the administration on down. And so that would have been my two different breakout groups for you all. Who is interested in learning about and doing more around the childcare piece, and who's interested in talking and doing more around the paid leave piece. So in the event of time, we were going to have 10 minutes or so to go into those two groups and have more discussion. But I'm capturing all of the contact information for everyone, and we'll share it in the chat and share it on the text pad. And these two organizations and these leaders at these organizations can plug you in. Chineva has already talked about the Keep Families First Coalition upcoming meeting, I believe on the 12th of June. Yeah, sorry.
It's on the 17th.
The 17th of
Yes.
June. Danielle has talked to us about a number of ways of getting engaged and involved with her organization. So I would like for folks to follow up directly with them and doing that. If you see, you see the need, but if you see a perfect fit for you personally, your network, and or your branches, because we want, as was on the top of the agenda, we want, as a women's organization and a sisterhood, we want to help our sisters out and making sure that we don't miss this opportunity, this once in a lifetime generational opportunity that we have before us. So I'll stop talking, and that'll get us back on track as far as the agenda. But before I do that, is there any other questions, comments, things folks want to say? Again, you can unmute or you can put in the chat. I see in California, we have the California Domestic Workers. Yep. I'm sorry.
Could you hear me? Yeah, Martha, this is Anne. And I was wondering if, since you were sort of synthesizing everything for us, which is great, if Chineva and Truth and Danielle could, really just pull together one more time for us, what is the immediate ask? You've kind of recapped it, but for them, what would they like us to do, going back to our branches, because this is so compelling.
And because it's a fairly new topic for WILPF, it's very, it's not something we've delved into. And I think a lot of the people on this call would love to, have direction about how we can help. So yeah, I think that's a very good idea to just kind of tell us the highlight of what you want, what would be the best thing to do.
Okay, I can kick it off if you guys are open to that. So what I would want to say first and foremost is educate yourself on your current state, local, municipal, regional paid leave policies, and then go educate your network. Then after educating your network, because you already built the network to know about paid leave, then come help us. We want you to help you first in order to help us. That way we can get paid leave passed across the United States. So with Helping 9 to 5, what we will ask is that you get involved by going to www.9to5.org, just to get a glimpse of what we're doing from Colorado, Wisconsin, national, and also Georgia. And then as well, getting involved with the Wisconsin chapter if you are in Wisconsin for the Keep Families First Coalition. If you are not in Wisconsin, anybody that you know that is in Wisconsin, send them our way. Any businesses, organizations, grassroots organizations as well to join the coalition so that they know that we are fighting in the state of Wisconsin as well. And then always connect. The last thing I'm going to leave with you guys, always connect how paid leave is not something that you're just fighting for others, but you're also fighting for yourself and your loved ones, because essentially we all are going to age, we all are going to come across sickness, we all are going to go through different things that we need these types of supports. So it's not really about just fighting for others, but also to make it where it's normalized, that we finally in this nation come across some kind of way of spreading equality through being more of through compassion. So everybody goes through something. So this is one way that we all can connect and unify. And it starts here. This is something we all have in relation to. You can't say, oh, I don't get sick. Oh, nobody in my family is born. You can't say that. Nobody I know, unfortunately, didn't get coronavirus. So we really have to do that. And then also Truth popped it right into the chat. Watch 0 Weeks. That is one of the best movies you can actually watch in regard to paid leave. Educate yourself, educate your loved ones, educate your professional network.
Yeah, and I would just again ask you to call every member of Congress in your state and tell them $700 billion for childcare, and an inclusive, paid leave for working families. You can just say paid leave for working families. That bill has all of the points that I spoke about as far as a good, equitable family medical leave bill. So just call them. Now is the time. So just a little bit about the process. So Congresswoman Pelosi has asked and is working towards passing a skinny infrastructure bill by July 4th. That's highly unlikely, but that will kind of tell us when reconciliation will come into effect. And a reconciliation is where we are hoping that paid leave and childcare are going to be passed in that process. So it's a whole summer. Call them throughout the summer. And we also, childcare is infrastructure. That's another thing. You can build all the roads and bridges you want. They will not babysit my child. So childcare is infrastructure.
Very good.
Awesome. Thank you again so much, Truth and Chineva and Danielle, for your time this evening, for all of your information, and for your action steps and steps to take forward that people can pick up and start as soon as tonight, tomorrow, with some of just the tangible information and everything you've shared with everyone this evening. I think I'm turning it back over to Anne.
Thank you so much, Martha. What wonderful speakers you brought, and just a very rich discussion. I feel totally inspired. So thank you all for your time and for coming tonight. And in keeping with the subject of caring wages and promoting the ideal of a caring economy, our Women, Money, and Democracy Committee has been working closely with Mary Bricker Jenkins to plan a webinar that compares the U.S. history and policies on payment for caregivers with that of other countries. Illustrious feminist author Selma James, with a new book out soon, and Margaret Prescott of the National Welfare Rights Union and Black Women for Wages for Housework, are just two of the speakers who will be helping put America's caregiving equity into context. I'm going to keep going with our announcements. Our triennial Congress is coming up in August, and Darian mentioned that, so we want to get back to some updates on that. The first National WILPF US Congress, which will be virtual. We heard last month from Beverly Fitzpatrick about the exciting plenary and keynote speakers being lined up, beginning the weekend of August 13th through 15th and continuing through the weekend of August 20th to 23rd, with several great workshops and panels planned on the weekdays in between. There's so much to get excited about for this Congress. Tonight we have Mary Hanson Harrison with us to share even more details. And now that all the workshop applications are in, a sense of where our WILPF US focus is leading into this Congress. Welcome, Mary. Please unmute yourself. You've got 4 minutes. Mary is here.
Mary, you have to, there you are.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Oh, you muted again. No.
Well, it must have something to say, isn't it? Yes. Thank you so much for the inspiring presentation, and it's invigorating that we are finally becoming interested in trying to pull together our resources and really make a difference in this world. And as Darian had pointed out and Danielle has pointed out, this is the time. So what a time to have a really big blowout and virtual blowout this time though. And we have several, we have been really blessed with many, many proposals and more than we had ever believed. We have just a plethora of issues from branches, from issue committees, from individuals. And I can give you a little bit of foretaste of what is coming. But first, I really wanted to make a shout out to our Congress Program Committee. It's Janet Slater, and she's been a former chair of the Fresno State Women's Study Department, and she's done a lot of conventions and conferences. We have Laura Dewey and myself have both been former coordinators for our congresses. Bev, you met the last time, and she's a community organizer and has events and all that community power that we see tonight. And Robin Lloyd, of course, who is our senior member, who has given WILPF her life as well as her work. And this is the impetus that we have for giving you a bigger and better Congress. We reached out to the branches. We took a long time to interview all of the branches and see what they were interested in. And we have some, I can tell you a couple. Here's Nettie Weeb has UN Food Summit Systems or System Summit, who's cooking and what's on the menu. We have another Black Liberation Caucus, a feminist foreign policy. We have uplifting transgender women of color, how your tax dollars fuel wars in the Middle East. We do have from our international president, or rather I should say from the Ghana president, breaking a culture of silence around violence. And also with our America's former president, she's president of Costa Rica, she has an interview with climate changers who are active in the Americas. So we've got a broad vision. We have, for instance, the first week is really environmental justice, is social justice. The second week is more using our power for peace. But we all know that they're all interrelated. And we are blessed with having Vandana Shiva the first week. We have Reverend Dr. Liz Theo Harris to give us a start off on the first week on Friday. We have Paul Cobble, who is the co-founder of Surge, to speak on the second week. Many of Madeline Reese, who is our international president, will be giving a little 5-minute welcoming, as well as other international figures that we hope to share our time with. But most of all, we want to really put ourselves together at the same time, listening to the same presentation. And you can do that in a house party, in a picnic, in the cool of your living room. But we will have a chance to unite and be powerful. The power of women, because this is women power and social justice building from strength. And this is what we are showing. We are looking and longing, and I should say performing for the beliefs and the values that for 106 years has left us with a legacy, a powerful legacy. And I really encourage all of you to please pay attention to the upcoming, we'll have a website fairly soon, and registration is on its way. But it's up to you to spread the word, to spend some time, spread the love, and be a force that we always wanted to be.
Great. Say thank you very much, Mary. It's inspiring, and I think we're all very excited about this Congress. It's going to be quite a challenge and an experiment in a lot of ways, but I think I think it'll be great. So I was just glancing through the chat, and I thought this was, I mean, a good thing to point out that especially for the presenters tonight, is that WILPF US history started in Whole House, Chicago, with Jane Addams, and the women there fought for and got the first child labor laws. So, you know, to say that things don't interconnect, they all interconnect.
Over 106 years. Yes.
That's right. If not, yes, exactly. So thank you very much. And so if you have questions for Mary about the Congress, you can type them in the chat, and she'll be happy to answer them in the chat, or if she's not able to, you know, by email. But if you have some now, go ahead and type them in. And next up is Darian DeLu, our section president, who has a few more announcements of interest. Darian, you've got 5 minutes.
Okay, I thought I had unmuted myself, but now I have. Thank you. So I am telling you about a few more Congress specials. Our steering committee and issue committee leadership is going to be taking advantage of the Congress to self-introduce themselves and let WILPF members and others at the Congress know what they're working on, and take talk a little bit about what inspires them, what excites them, and they'll be taking a few questions. So this session should be early in Congress and should help members get an idea of who is who throughout the Congress. So we want you to be oriented. Also, we're looking forward to having a special awards ceremony. There will be just a very few awards offered to allied organizations and individuals across the country. Stay tuned for details. They'll be in the e-news. And as I briefly mentioned before the break, you are going to have a July opportunity to practice reaching out to your political allies and friends, which we really hope you will also do for the Congress. We have deliberately made the Congress registration costs very affordable, and we want them and you to have the chance for all kinds of important learning and education at the Congress, and on July 21st, when it'll be a great time to have pizza parties for the viewing of the new corporations. So that's going to be on Wednesday, July 21st. We're planning a special bi-coastal 7 p.m. viewing. Now, for those of you who do better with time differences than I do, you know that there's a 3-hour difference between Eastern time and Pacific time. So how do we do this bi-coastal thing? Well, we cheat. We repeat programs and have them available at 7 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Pacific time. We're looking forward to having a brief, probably 15-minute introduction to the film from the Women, Money, and Democracy Committee. We'll also have a panel discussion from them after the film to help highlight some of the history of WILPF work on corporation matters and how it relates to what has come up in the film, to talk about some of what's in the film. So the panel will be between the bi-coastal showings, and the brief intro will be repeated. So it's a complete program, and if you serve pizza, people will come, they'll watch, and they'll get to know more about WILPF activism and history. And then I really do want every nimble-fingered WILPFer on board. I seriously am asking for your help at Congress with some of the tech stuff, and we will train you. Please tell your branch members about that as well. You can become a Zoom master, and we have many hours of training needed. Finally, I just want you to know that we will have an August e-news this year. We often don't have the August e-news because it's usually a quiet time, but last year that was not the case, and it won't be the case this year either, because we'll be very busy talking about the Congress. So most of the August e-news will be about the Congress. However, if there are time-relevant matters to be reported, they'll be there too. I'm mentioning this now so you can make sure to get your other articles into the July e-news, and please watch for further details about the July 21st showing of the new corporation, the Unfortunately Necessary sequel. That's it for this time. Thank you.
Did Mary's, there was a question in the chat from Mary. I don't know whether that was answered. For Cheryl, have all the workshops been chosen, and do the proposers know if their proposal has been accepted?
Well, we got all of them in, or May 31st, and we were gobsmacked, I must say, by how many proposals we have. And we will shortly get that out. It'll be, we have probably a 4 or 5 more days of looking at and what manipulation of time. As you can imagine, this is our first experiment with this. And however wonderfully everybody turned out and gave us excellent proposals, we still have to parse them, as they say in English lit. So we are doing that right now, and as we are trying to accommodate as many people. But I want to make one thing very clear: is this Congress doesn't stop it doesn't drop off a cliff. And if we have a few who didn't get in, we will make sure that we will have them on a One WILPF call or a webinar, and we will keep after this, because oftentimes it's like this huge event where 100 privileged women went and they say what a wonderful time they had. Okay, what came out of that? And we're going to be asking that as many times as need be. We want to ask ourselves, coming out of that, and we'll keep up with that and not just drop everything, but really pick it up and run with it. Did that answer the question? I got a little carried away there.
Yeah, I think you did. Thanks, Mary. All right. Okay, I'm trying to figure out where we are. I think right now we're going to, is Lenny Villagomez-Reese on the call? She has an announcement for the Cuba and Bolivarian Alliance Committee. Lenny, are you here?
I am here, and I am unmuted, I hope. Am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So the first thing I wanted to say is that the Cuba and the Bolivarian Alliance Committee is going to meet on the 18th at 4:30 Pacific time, which is 7:30 Eastern time. So June 18th, I'll put the link in the chat. We'd love to have those of you who are interested there. The second thing I wanted to say is that this month, on the 23rd, the UN General Assembly is again going to vote on the blockade. Every year, Cuba brings its resolution on the necessity to end the United States blockade of Cuba. For 28 consecutive sessions, the UN General Assembly has voted overwhelmingly. Like last time it was 187 to 3. The 3 were the US, Israel, and Brazil, by the way, against the blockade. And there's no doubt that this year, once again, the whole world is going to stand with Cuba. But we, as people living in the US, we want to take this opportunity to say that we oppose the blockade, that we know that the US people's foreign policy is no blockade and unblock Cuba. So we want to say it loud. So we would like the US ambassador to the UN to either vote yes on the resolution, to vote against the blockade, or at least to abstain, as the US did once during the Obama administration. So there's a lot of actions going on around this. The National Network of Cuba, which WILPF is a member of, and the US-Cuba Normalization Committee, we're inviting people from the US to get involved with a week of action against the blockade, starting on June 17th and ending, of course, on June 23rd. If you'll go to the website, Cuba Normalization, yes, I'll put it in the chat, and you can find the events that will be happening in your city, ranging from car and bike caravans, online actions like a 24-hour global picket. And we would love to have you join. And again, come to the meeting on the 18th if you want to hear more about that. And I will give you the Cuba US Normalization Committee website in the chat. By the way, WILPF members have played an important role in the NNOC's 50-state campaign to get pictures of people holding signs saying that their state says hands off Cuba. Special thanks to Robin Lloyd, to Tamara James, to Cindy Roberts for helping out on that. And lastly, a huge thank you to all those who contributed to the Syringes for Cuba campaign, which up to now has raised an astounding $400,000 for 4 million syringes. We want to continue to raise another $100,000 to purchase another 2 million syringes. It means a lot to Cuba, and it means a lot to the rest of the global South, because Cuban doctors and nurses and Cuban vaccines will go where nobody else goes in the world. And I will put that donation info in the chat. And last but not least in the chat will be a petition saying, President Biden, keep your promises. And if you would like to sign on to that, that is asking President Biden to keep his campaign promises, in which he promised to return at least to President Obama's policies on Cuba. Thank you very much. I hope I'm under my 3 minutes.
You're muted, Sandy.
I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you very much, Lenny. You're doing a lot of that stuff, and it's great that you have so many things that people can do. So I mean, you know, a lot of ways that people can connect with that organization. So thank you for all your work. Next, representing our partner for the Poor People's Campaign, we have Jan Korterman with an announcement. Jan, you've got 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. Well, Monday, with the Poor People's Campaign held Moral Monday actions across 50 locations. And I know that many of you were part of that. I was happy to see Rowan had her beautiful banner up showing our partnership with the Poor People's Campaign as we're meeting here tonight. Basically, it's the third Reconstruction Resolution to End Poverty. And it's something that was introduced in Congress late in May. Congresswoman Jayapal introduced it. And it's really fully addressing poverty and low wages from the bottom up, and addressing those 140 million people that are poor, because we've allowed it to be so. We're in the wealthiest country in the world, and we need to grab a hold and do something against it. We got a little clip on from our local TV station. I put that on our web page, or excuse me, on our Facebook page. So please do the same. Whatever you folks were involved in your branches, please do the same on that. And now we're mobilizing towards June 21st. And there's going to be another big event. Maybe you remember June 2020. So this is going to be June 2021, and it's still going to be virtual. Feel free. This is a good time. If you haven't done it recently or want to do it again, go in and sign up on poorpeoplescampaign.org, and you'll be getting little emails starting tomorrow all the way up to the 21st that are always informative. They're always fun, good, useful emails. And we'll see what we can do on June 21st. So mobilizing towards June 21st, 2021. And then also a bigger event, and finally an in-person event in June of 2022. So I think those are the announcements that Dorothy wanted me to make. So I'm happy to make them today in her absence. So thank you.
Thank you, Jan. The Advancing Human Rights Committee has been preparing to relaunch, and Joan Goddard of the San Jose, California branch has a quick report for us. Joan, please tell us what lies ahead for this committee. You've got 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, if anybody can get to the text pad, the information is there, and it's also in the chat. But I did want to say that after a hiatus of a few months, we're getting the AHR committee going again, and it will include people who are interested in a variety of subjects. Many subjects that would be considered advancing human rights have their own issue committee, but all the others, including working with the UN's work with women and women working with the UN, and also anti-racism, and as I said, a wide variety of other subjects. Please look at the text pad if you can. Mainly, please go to the wilpfus.org website, of course, and under resources, go to the e-news, and the June e-news had an article which listed even more subjects that will be included. We're looking for people to join together in subcommittees and or just work with the whole committee. Many people have interests that are more than one of the subject areas. So we'll be doing a meeting on June 30th, and it will be at 5, 6, 7, and 8. And we hope that you will join us. I also put my email and phone number in the chat. So please get in touch with me so that we can be sure that if for some reason you're not able to be at that meeting, we can get back in touch with you. And we'll be having meetings in the future as well. Thank you. Look forward to questions. If anybody has any, please put them in the chat.
Thank you, Joan. Yeah, we're gonna go on to the rest of our announcements, and in the soapbox segment, if there are people that have questions, that'll be coming right up after the end of the meeting. But right now we have Cheryl Spencer with an announcement. Cheryl, you have 3 minutes.
Oh, 3. Okay. So, good afternoon, everybody. I've just put in the chat again the URL to the Google Doc, where lots of stuff has been placed, including the link to an e-news article that we need you to read, because the Disarm Committee has a phone campaign going on, which hopefully you've heard about several times now. We hope in the next 2 weeks making lots of phone calls to about 40 Congress people. You don't have to make 40, if you can make 6 or 7, to ask them to support Eleanor Holmes Norton bill that will abolish nuclear weapons, have the US abolish nuclear weapons. And there's another bill that would not try to improve, modernize the ICBMs that are sitting in all those silos in Wyoming and North Dakota. We don't want that to happen. That will save billions of dollars if we can get that bill passed. So if you go down to about page 12 in the Google Doc, you will find the URLs I put there. And we have given you a script, what to say when you phone these various Congress people who we are targeting. These are the people we think most likely would co-sponsor the two bills we are trying to raise up into Congress's consciousness. There are so many bills, I've understood, there are so many bills introduced. There's still Congress people out there who don't understand what's going on with nuclear weapons. It's out of their purview. We're trying to raise their consciousness also. So we're trying to make a lot of phone calls in the next 2 weeks to make Congress people, staff people say, oh my, this is a lot of phone calls. Maybe we should tell our congressperson about it. And there again, Ellen has just put in the chat the e-news article, which has the links. I'd also just like to say that I took part in that third Reconstruction press event outside Jackie Spear's office here in San Mateo County, and took our banner, our Poor People's Campaign and WILF banner, which I understood the photographs did get into the national Facebook page. So there, we are hoping that third Reconstruction bill of Barbara Lee it's a resolution actually, not a bill, will be again taken notice of by Congress and raise up the poor people. I think that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay, great. Oops, yes, I'm on. Thank you, Cheryl. And I just on that same topic, that if you're in California or if you're in the Bay Area, the Golden Rule, a sailing ship that sails all over the world, opposing nuclear weapons, is in the Berkeley Marina and will be there all summer. And they're going to do all kinds of actions and events and free rides. I mean, all these things. So check it out. It's there was an article in the Chronicle about it with photographs and stuff a few days ago. So that was exciting. Okay, finally, Nancy Price has some exciting updates from the newly relaunched and reconstituted WILF International Environmental Working Group. Nancy, you've got 3 minutes.
First of all, I want to say this is such a wonderful One WILF call, and I want to thank the presenters. I learned so much, and it was just an invaluable introduction to the issues of a caring economy. Thank you. So I'm happy to say that the Environmental Group of International has been revived. We now have a co-chair, a very nice young woman from Germany that Marybeth and I have been in conversation with over at least the past year or year and a half. And what's important is that we're coming up to COP26 that will be in Glasgow, Scotland, so that this is an opportune moment for the revival of the Environmental Working Group in order to develop programs and organizing, mobilizing for events by the different sections of International WILF and to have a presence in Glasgow. The UK branch, particularly in England as well as in Scotland, are working on this. We're quite excited because we've been discussing how to really reach out to broadly through WILF International to have some kind of representation from either all the sections or at least all the regions on the Environmental Working Group sort of team, I guess you could say, and really learn what's going on with the issues of the environment and climate across the across the world in our international WILF world. We expect to have a resolution presented to our virtual Congress this summer that will present our demands to Biden as he represents us, and John Kerry, his climate advisor, that will make it clear to them that the military carbon footprint needs to be brought into the Paris Climate Agreement. They cannot be exempt. Their carbon footprint cannot be exempt. It's a huge carbon footprint that really has an enormous impact on our climate. And let's see, last but not least, we are developing a program on blue communities that we'll be presenting at Congress. Blue communities have to do with a resolution that creates your community as a community for the human right to water and other actions, which you'll learn about in a panel at the Congress this summer. So thank you very much, and stay tuned to Earth Democracy.
Thank you so much, Nancy. That actually brings us to the end of our planned meeting, and I wanted to just say thank you again so much to Martha for putting together this really amazing program. And you are a great facilitator. This is the most on-time meeting we have had in a long, long time.
On time, off time.
Yeah.